Good afternoon. My name is Holly Thomas, and here we are on Tuesday, March 31st, 2020, on our 8th day of quarantine in place piano practice. We had a few days off for the weekend, which we will have every week. My goal for all of you is to have 5 videos a week starting on Tuesday, and then through Saturday. That will be 5 days, and then you'll have a few days just to catch up and to practice what we had done. So keep doing that even if we don't meet. Today we're going to talk about making chords in the diatonic scale. If you don't know what that word means, you will soon, and you'll find that it's very simple. I'm going to use my friends here, the hedgehog family, or hedgehog friends. I don't know if they're actually related, but I think they are. You might be familiar with these guys here in my studio, and they're going to assist us today. Let's go over to the piano and I'll show you what I have for you. As you can see here, I've got the pieces of paper here that we created last week on the notes and the scale degrees of the C major scale. Now today we're going to make chords on these keys, and we're starting with just the C major. Now a chord is also called a triad, and a triad basically is a group of 3 notes built on thirds, and by thirds I mean I'm skipping 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. We're skipping a note of the scale between them. This is the most basic chord we have. It's a major chord in C major, which has, of course, all white keys here. So that's our 1 chord. When we're talking about being in a certain key, we refer to these numbers that we've already looked at when we're talking about the chords as well. And I would say especially when we're talking about the chords. So when you start to learn chord progressions and play chords, you'll hear these terms used a lot. I'm also going to tell you 2 words today that refer to the 1 and the 5. And these are used, I would say, interchangeably. The 1 of any key you're in is also called the tonic, and the 5 is called the dominant. So when you hear those words, you can think tonic is the 1, dominant is the 5 chord. And they're used mostly to refer to the note, but mostly I would say the chord itself. Now, when I say build chords on each of these scale degrees, it's as simple as this. This is the C major scale. It's built on the first note of the scale, the tonic, and we call that the 1. Let's see. Now, if I want to make a 2 chord, this is a 2 chord. I simply move up to the 2nd note of the scale and build my chord with thirds. That is a 2 chord. To make a 3 chord, you can probably follow where I'm going with this. Here's the 3 chord in the key of C. All right, the next 2 are the most common chords in any piece of music usually, and especially here we have the 4, which is the F chord, and we have the 5, also known as the dominant. The 5 is used so much, and it sounds really nice resolving back to the 1. That's why it's used so often. Our minor, this is the 6th chord. This is A minor. We talked about this extensively last week. That's also called the relative minor of C major. But here it's just called a 6th chord because we're not in the key of A minor. We're just playing a chord in the context of C major. Your 6th chord and your 7th chord. This one is actually a diminished chord. I'll explain what that is tomorrow. But here we go, the 7. You can hear a lot of tension in that chord. It's a very unresolved chord. And finally, we're back to our 1, or our 8 in this case, but it's still called the 1, C major. Okay, so in the number system, which we use for chord progressions, this is what we're referring to. Whatever scale degree the chord is built on, that's the number that we use for the chord. That way, instead of just using the names of chords, for example, the song Let It Be, right? We know the chords to that, or most of you know. The chords to the verse are 1, 5, 6, 4. When I fall, you can sing in your head. Okay, those are the chords, 1, 5, 6, 4. Maybe I don't want to play it in that key. If I understand and am thinking of the number instead of just the name of that chord, that particular name, I will be able to move this to other keys easily by understanding the bigger picture, not just those specific chord names. So that's why we're going to focus on this way. We will be going over all the keys and all the chords. But right now, this week, today actually, I just want you to think about these numbers, these chords. Go ahead and build it up. Look at it as you play it. 4 chord, 5, 6, 7, and the 1 again. And then I'm going to give you now on the screen, and you can write these down please, 4 different chord progressions that I want you to try. The first one would be what we just did, which is the Let It Be chord progression. That's not the only song that uses that progression. There are thousands. You can probably just turn on any music station or whatever and hear several without even trying. You may not recognize it yet, but you'll start to hear these progressions because the movement is the same. There's many melodies you can create to go with each chord progression, and that's where the fun begins. So let's start with that. I'm going to move back away from the piano and tell you what to do next. Okay, here are the chord progressions I would like you to try. I don't know if you can see that. I will go back and check, but for right now, here's the plan. Write these down on paper, sit at the piano. You can keep your numbers on the keys like what we had at first and just play through these progressions. I think you'll start to recognize that they sound familiar. Many pop songs, especially the modern times currently, you'll notice most of the pop music now has the same 4 chords over and over and over, and these are common ones that are used a lot. These are also really common from other styles of music, not just pop. You'll hear these in jazz, you'll hear them in country. These are kind of the foundation, I would say. So get familiar with these where you can just jump to them, kind of know where you're going. Also, write me back and tell me if these sound like any songs that you know. And then tomorrow we'll talk about how to tell which ones are major and minor. All right, my friends, that's all. Have a great day. It looks beautiful outside. Have some fun. Get in the sun. Grow things. I'll see you tomorrow.